Welcome everyone to Camino Talks, and today we are joined by the wonderful Kenneth Strange, a wonderful Camino author, and he has just come back from a trip on the Camino with Follow the Camino. So thank you so much for joining us, Ken.
Caitlin, it is a pleasure and an honor to be with you today.
Wonderful. So let's get straight into it. Tell us about your Camino. Which Camino did you do? How long did you take? And where did you go?
Whoa, wow, there's a lot to pack in there, Caitlin. This was our second Camino. The first one, of course, was the Camino Frances. But this was the Camino Portuguese, the coastal Portuguese. Not the entire part, but starting in Bayona in Spain on the coast, and then going all the way to Santiago de Compostela. So it was just an amazing journey. We loved it. There was some views and vistas and panoramic countryside. Really some great stuff out there. We had a wonderful time.
Fantastic. We do get so much feedback about how panoramic it is, as you say, because those beach views are stunning. So you took 6 days to get 6 days of walking and then a couple of days on either end. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. So we started the journey by arriving in Porto. We unfortunately we were supposed to be there 2 days, and we ended up, because of COVID and some mishaps and the challenges of traveling, with the pandemic thing. So we ended up with only 1 day, which was too bad. It was because we love Porto, and we would have enjoyed spending that extra day. But we'll go back. We'll go back. But once we got started, once the momentum got going, and we got into Bayona, where we began, well, then things started to brighten up for us, and there was just no stopping us then.
Fantastic. And you ended with a couple of days in Santiago to celebrate your wedding anniversary, which is amazing, and meet up with friends.
Unbelievable. You just couldn't have scripted it any better. I reflect now back on that, and it was all such a wonderful, beautiful blessing to arrive on the feast day of St. James, the apostle, on his feast day, on the year of the Jubilee, the Golden Jubilee. And then on top of that, we're celebrating our 40th wedding anniversary. And who should we run into, although we knew perfectly well that they were coming, was Rory's 4 sisters and 2 of their husbands, who were traveling from Syria to Santiago. So we all met up in Santiago. We had a wonderful reunion, and had a fun little lunch dinner with them. There were a few bottles of wine that Rioja, Albarino, some bottles of wine made their way through the table.
Well, you have to when you're in Spain, especially when you're celebrating.
Exactamente.
Fantastic. And one of the things that's quite interesting about your Camino that makes it a little bit different is that you were also walking it while doing a bit of a book tour for your amazing book that you've written, which has also just won an IPPY Award. Congratulations.
Thank you. It was unexpected, but I'll take it.
So tell us what it was like walking and kind of doing that book tour, because you were going into a couple of bookshops and you were talking to some of the accommodation that you were staying in about your book.
Right. So, Caitlin, lugging these books around was half the battle, and you had to. There was a lot of preparation that went into shipping books to Santiago. Thank you, Follow the Camino, for assisting us on that. The books were there waiting for us at the hotel in Santiago. The other half of the books, and then the first half we were kind of carrying on our backs. Aurora had a few. Had a few. But what was easy for us was when we would get to the hotels, and they were wonderful hotels. 2 of them were like complete surprises, by the way. It was very easy to make contact with the manager, the owner of the hotel, and then donate the books, a Spanish version and an English version to them. I would dedicate the books. And that was so much fun because you would get to actually know the people. They would talk. In one instance, the owner was a Michelin lauded chef, Chef Rivera. And he said, well, I have a book I want to give to you. And so, we were all posing for the cameras at one point. So that part was just wonderful. Now, as far as bookstores, from Bayona to Santiago, it was kind of hit or miss because by the time we would get to a village or a town, there was really not a lot of time left. So in some cases, the town would close down and you couldn't do it, or we were just so tired, that we just didn't have the energy to get out to. So I'd shoot for 3 bookshops and I'd end up maybe getting to 1 or 2. That changed in Santiago. Was difficult because, again, a lot of bookshops were closing down because of the holiday. But then in Madrid, when we had kind of a R&R in Madrid, we had plenty of time and got to a lot of bookshops. And so overall, it was a kind of a resounding success. I learned a great deal about how to maybe market my Spanish book in Spain. People were very kind. They gave me a lot of suggestions. And really some wonderful moment. I thought to myself, here I am, 65 years old, and I'm peddling my Spanish book after I was a student in Madrid at the age of 20. So I just thought this is pretty cool karma coming back here. So it was great.
What an adventure. It sounds fantastic. So I hope that you do get some wonderful contacts from that, and I hope that your book continues to do very well.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
COVID. You were traveling during 2021. We're still seeing the effects of COVID everywhere. What was it like being on the trails every day during COVID Camino?
Right. So it was not so much the trails, but the getting to the trails. That was the super big challenge for us. Of course, we're coming from the United States, so we're coming a long way. So the first thing you notice throughout in every airport we were in, whether it was Dallas, Fort Worth, LAX, in Porto, Portugal, in Madrid, all these places, is that people are traveling like with a vengeance. They're all out there. It's just this pent up urge to get out there and travel, and they've been missing 1-2 years of this, so they're all out there. But then the COVID restrictions in each country, they vary. They were changing by the day almost. We got to the hotel in Portugal, and the receptionist, a very nice man named Fernando, said, "Oh, I am so sorry," and we had come so far and missed a flight, and now here we are at this mercy of this man. And he said, "I am so sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Strange, but I cannot let you into the hotel. It seems that your COVID test has expired by 24 hours because of your problems. But however, I think we have a solution." And then he pulled out 2 rapid tests and said, for just €2 each, maybe we can sort this out. And so, imagine us sitting there watching this test for 15 minutes, hoping and praying that it'll be negative. It was negative. And then he said, "Oh, I have good news for you. Negative test. You can stay at the hotel." Things like that. So, as far as on the trail goes, we were dosed. We've been vaccinated, so we weren't worried. We noticed in Spain that many people, and I'm not talking about the trail, but in the towns and cities, were masked outside and inside. Okay, fine. When in Rome, do as the Romans, right? But on the trail, there were very few people wearing masks. However, there's this element of when and in the Camino spirit, you tend to talk to your fellow pilgrims. And so some people would volunteer, "Hey, by the way, I've been vaccinated." "Oh, that's cool. We're vaccinated too." But there were 1 or 2 occasions where, the person you're chatting with would say, I'm not vaccinated. So you would have to kind of make a decision in your head. Am I cool with walking with an unvaccinated person? I was okay with it. I know in one case, my wife was not too sure about it. She was a little worried. She's a nurse. So, I think the pilgrims should be aware that there are situations like that they will encounter, and they've got to make up their own minds about how safe they want to be or how safe they feel.
Yeah, that's really good advice. It's good to think about that before you go as well, so that you've kind of decided how you're feeling.
You're sure, yeah, right. You don't want to. It can get awkward. Let me put it that way.
For sure. And so we were following along on your journey on Facebook, and you did say there were some periods along the way that seemed to have fewer pilgrims. And I feel like a lot of people are worried that there's going to be nobody out there because no one's traveling. But
Mhm.
as you got closer to Santiago, that
Oh,
definitely, there were plenty of people.
oh, that changed in a heartbeat. So when we started out from Bayona, and by the way, Bayona was one of the loveliest surprises we had. We had no idea. I had no idea about Bayona. Didn't even know it existed, and I think that's the charm of Galicia. Okay, plus it's cheaper. It's a cheaper place, and that's cool with us. We'll take it. But it was such a beautiful place. It had such great seafood. It had such a history. We didn't know that one of Columbus's mates or crew people, Pinzon, had taken the ship. It actually brought the ship back to the Europe with the news of the New World, right? So that Bayona was just an incredible surprise. But getting back to your question, the first day from, I think it was Bayona to, and I don't remember where we went. There's so many places, but that first stage, we saw a total of 7 pilgrims. Now, mind you, we got off a little late that morning. We weren't out the door at 5 or 6, more like 8 or 9. Okay, so you're already starting behind a lot of people, but we saw a total of 7 pilgrims, and kind of in the distance, not up close and personal. And then they were from Europe. I knew they were from Europe. So that first section, yeah, I mean, if you're there to kind of talk to pilgrims, that wasn't happening. It was just my wife and I. So we made our way. As we got closer, as we kind of got to Vigo, when we got to Vigo, then we started to notice more and more pilgrims. We met an American lady in our hotel, so we traveled with her a little bit. And then there's one point where the TUI Camino and the coastal merge, and right there, wow, wow. Now this is kind of like the Camino Frances. You're seeing more and more pilgrims. So that was cool too. There was you had your solitary time, then you had your pilgrim time to get to know other pilgrims, and so it was all good. It was all good.
Fantastic. So that's great to hear. It's wonderful to hear that the Camino's coming back to life, that
Oh
we
yeah.
are hearing so many more stories of people meeting plenty of pilgrims. We're starting to see loads more of our clients going to the Caminos. So just for anyone out there wondering what the Camino's like at the moment, it genuinely is coming back to life, and that is wonderful to hear.
I can confirm that.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to share that little update on what the Camino is like in 2021. It was wonderful working with you again. If anyone wants to follow Ken on social media, we'll put the social media down below. You can also follow the Camino on social media to keep up with what is happening on the trails. And we hope to see you all again soon on the Camino. Buen Camino, Ken.
Buen Camino, and thank you and the team at Follow the Camino. You guys were excellent. Great.
You are so welcome. I'm sure we'll see you again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.